Hello, students. Hope you all are doing well. This is Shivani ma'am, and today we are going to do a very interesting chapter, chapter number 4 from your course book, The Final Victory. Children, have you ever flown a kite? I'm sure all the boys love flying kites. You know, this story is all about kite flying, a competition about kite flying. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy this chapter. The story has mainly two characters, Amir, who is a rich Afghan boy, and the other one is Hassan, the servant's son. Students, before I proceed, I would like to give you the synopsis of the story. So let's begin. The narrator of the story, Amir, is a rich Afghan boy who has grown up with Hassan, the servant's son. Hassan had a cleft palate, because of which people made fun of him. But Amir and Hassan were the best of friends. The extract focuses on the kite flying tournament that was held every year during winter. According to the tradition, children flew the kites and each of them had an assistant. Hassan was Amir's assistant. Amir would fly the kite and Hassan would manage the spool. People gathered on the streets and sidewalks to cheer for their kids. The kite runners used to chase the kites that were cut and fell on the ground. The chase was fierce. Once the kite runner gets a kite in his hands, no one could take it from him. This was the tradition. The trophy of the kite running contest was the last fallen kite of the tournament. According to Amir, Hassan is the best kite runner. Hassan seems to have an inner compass which helps him gauge the direction in which the cut kite would fly. On the day of the tournament, many people gathered on the streets. Some were laughing, some were chatting. People were ready with flasks full of hot tea to watch the most awaited tournament of the year. On Amir's rooftop sat his father. He called him Baba, and Rahim Khan, Baba's friend. Just when the tournament was about to start, Amir became nervous. He wanted to go back home because he thought that he would fail. But Hassan convinced him by saying that there is no monster and it is a beautiful day to fly kites. Amir was in awe of Hassan because Hassan could read his mind so well. Now, they began preparing for the kite flying. In some time, Amir's red kite with yellow borders began to rocket in the sky. Hassan cheered him. 24 kites quickly started flying in the sky. Soon, the cutting started and the kite runners began chasing them. Amir quickly gazed at his father and Rahim Khan to know what they were thinking, but quickly got back to focusing on his kite. Many kites were cut, but Amir followed Hassan's favorite trick, lift and drive. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, only 12 kites were left in the sky. Amir was happy to be one of them. After some time, only 2 kites were flying in the sky, Amir's and a blue one. Amir tried to concentrate. The tension was in the air. People were clapping and whistling to encourage the contenders. Amir was under a lot of stress because this was his only chance to prove himself and to make his father proud. He wanted to be listened to and looked at. This would give him salvation. He knew that he was going to win. He looped his kite on top of the blue one. The crowd cheered for him. Before even seeing for himself, he knew that he had won. Hassan wrapped his arms around Amir and congratulated him. Students, this extract is from The Kite Runner, written by Khalid Hosseini. Now I would like to tell you something else about the author. Khalid Hosseini was born in Kabul in 1965 and had his early education there. In 1976, his family relocated to Paris. From there, Khalid Hosseini moved on to the US to complete his education. The Kite Runner was his first novel and was published in 2003 and is considered a modern classic. He also wrote A Thousand Splendid Suns and The Mountains Echoed. Let's begin with the chapter now. The kite flying fighting tournament was an old winter tradition in Afghanistan. Which place? Afghanistan. It started early in the morning on the day of the contest and didn't end until only the winning kite flew in the sky. Once the tournament outlasted daylight, people gathered on sidewalks and roofs to cheer for their kids. How interesting, isn't it? Isn't it? The streets filled with kite fighters, jerking and tugging on their lines, squinting up to the sky, trying to gain position to cut the opponent's line. Every kite fighter had an assistant. In my case, Hassan. Now, who is the assistant of this boy Amir? Hassan. Hassan, who held the spool and fed the line. You know what is spool? It is a cylindrical device on which film thread or other flexible materials can be wound. You can call it a reel. The fun began when a kite was cut. That was where the kite runners came in. Those kids who chased the wind-blown kite drifting through the neighborhoods until it came spiraling down in a field, dropping in someone's yard, on a treetop or a rooftop. The chase got pretty fierce. Hordes of kite runners swarmed the streets. Shoved past each other like those people from Spain I would read about once, the ones who ran from the bulls. You know what is shoving? Shoving means pushing someone or something. One year in a neighborhood, kid climbed a pine tree for a kite. A branch snapped under his weight and he fell 30 feet, getting severely injured. But he fell with the kite still in his hands. And when a kite runner had his hands on a kite, no one could take it from him. That wasn't a rule, that was the custom. For the kite runners, the most coveted prize was the last fallen kite of a winter tournament. You know what is coveted? This means greatly desired. It was a trophy of honor, something to be displayed on a mantle for guests to admire. Okay, students, in my next video, we will continue with the chapter.